usual. There we go. Okay, so I'm now recording this. So everybody who is here and has registered will receive a copy probably tomorrow by email. So you can re-watch it, re-listen to it, whatever. Anybody who doesn't get in or isn't able to attend, who's registered, will get a copy of it as well. Okay. Okay, so first of all, thanks very much for coming. It shows me that you are interested in really making a difference to your dog, okay? And I'm sure that a lot of people will resonate with a lot of stuff that go through tonight. So, as I said, this has been recorded, so bear with me. I'm going to go through a few things. What I intend doing just now is battering through a few of the common things that I have seen over many, many years of why people have problems with their dog. I will then open up the floor later on to for questions, etc. Okay, so if you are putting any messages in the chat box, etc., I'm not going to see them until I've finished going through this. There's a lot to go through, and this is all done with a view of helping people. Okay, so let me go through it. First of all, for anybody who doesn't know me, has never met me before, or doesn't know anything about me, my name is Allan Ritchie. I'm a member of the Guild of Dog Trainers, and I'm classified by them as a master professional dog training instructor. I started off training dogs as a 17-year-old lad, which wasn't yesterday, as an RAF policeman. After 10 years in the military, I then joined what is now Police Scotland. I wasn't a dog trainer within the police. I was a firearms hostage rescue team officer dealing with live firearms jobs. And we used to use dogs for various operations as well. I've been out of the police since 2001. I built a dog training school, and I was licensed for 46 dogs every day for 10 years. And many people used to say to me, Allan, could you take my dog and train it and hand me back a trained dog, which in those days, that was the early 90s, late 90s, I beg your pardon, which I would do. Probably every one of them without fail would thank me for their incredibly changed dog and how they thought it was marvelous. But within a week or 10 days or so, they would contact to say, Allan, the dog's no longer doing this. The dog started doing this thing again. It was then that I realized that there's actually no point me handing a trained dog to anybody who doesn't know how to drive that car. So now for many years, since 1991, I've concentrated my efforts on training the human, because you are the dog trainer all the time. And a lot of people don't really realize that. I've now trained over 9,000 people on a one-to-one basis since 1991. Okay, so we're here about lead pulling. First of all, the biggest thing that excuse me while I do something on this computer, or somebody's trying to say something here. The biggest thing I hear from people is they think they're alone. They think it's their dog. It's only their dog that pulls on the lead and they have a problem dog. That's far from it. You're not alone. Every dog, pretty much every dog, will pull unless it is taught to relax on the lead, and it's up to us to teach them. We've got to train them. They're not born with this knowledge, so it's up to us to learn how to teach them, which is obviously what you're here to do. So well done for coming along. Other than just the comfort of a dog or you when a dog is pulling, there's a lot of reasons that we really need to train a dog to relax on the lead. You're probably aware as a dog owner or a dog lover yourself that excuse me, just somebody, whoever is just joined, can I ask you to mute, please? Because sometimes I get EastEnders in the background, or let me see if I can find who you are and mute you myself. Okay, not to worry, but if you can just mute your screen when you come on, that'd be appreciated. Okay, sorry, as I was saying, there's a lot of reasons to teach our dog loose lead walking, and it's not just about the comfort for your dog or the comfort for you. There's a big reactive dog situation going on out there. A lot of people put it down to the COVID thing because we didn't get to socialise them, etc. And I kind of battle against that. I've been doing this for a long time, and dog reactivity has become more increased. I put it down to not solely, but largely to do with how we walk our dogs. You've got to remember that the dogs have three options when they are faced what they perceive as a threat. They can freeze, they can flight, or they can fight. If we have a dog on a loose lead and it isn't aware that it's attached to anything, it has that freedom of mind. It feels that it can flight. It's still got that option of flight if need be. If we have not taught that dog to relax on the lead, then that flight ability has been removed from the dog, and it only leaves them two options: freeze or fight. That's why I think that reactivity has become increased largely very recently. So it's not just about the comfort for you, your dog. And it's not just about loose lead walking itself. If our dog is not in a relaxed state of mind, then that's not a training, that's not a teaching, that's not a learning state of mind. So whatever your problems are, and many people have multiple issues with their dogs, what they call dog problems, mostly I find that they're actually just dog behaviours that are a problem to the human because they don't know how to train the dog to stop doing this thing or to start doing this thing. And I'm going to rattle through a few common mistakes. And this is not a judgmental webinar, by the way. I'm not here to judge people or point fingers. I'm here to help. So if you resonate, I'm just going to mute a couple of people here, if you don't mind. Stephen Black on the, where are we? Okay, just ask you to mute. I'm not able to do that for some reason. I'm going to rattle through a few of your common errors, and please don't take it personally if you resonate with this. Common mistakes in lead training: unrealistic expectations of an untrained dog. Okay, we expect our dog to just know things. You know, dogs do not know what humans want them to do. It's up to us to try and teach them what the things we want them to do and what we don't want them to do. Number two, failing to train yourself. Now, I can't point my finger at anybody here because you're along here to learn, but many people don't. Okay. We're always in a rush. Number three, always in a rush. Slow it down. Time is our enemy. We usually have an X amount of limited time, excuse me, to walk our dog in the morning before we go to work. Or because of the darker nights are there, we've only got 20 minutes, half an hour. We're always in a rush to do that. So I want you to slow it down. Number four, allowing your dog to stop and sniff with everything when it's on the lead. See so many people who are walking along and the dog wants to sniff the tree, sniff the lamppost, and the human stops and allows it to do that. What you're actually doing is teaching the dog, if I stop, if I pull you just that half yard when you're walking along the pavement and the dogs, bear in mind, we can't smell what they do. They're 1,000 times more powerful. Their nose are 1,000 times, and they find more information. So if they pull to a lamppost or a tree, and you think, well, it's only half a yard, I'll allow them to do that. Just that short period of time when they pull from there to there, they learn that they achieve, and they learn to they gain by that behavior. Okay, when we allow our dog to sniff, and it's enrichment time, if you like, that's either off lead if you have control of your dog off lead, i.e. it's got a solid recall, or long lead training if you're in that intermittent period where you don't know if your dog has got solid recall. We must be willing and able to follow up every command. So long lead training, I find, is one of the biggest things that people miss out. So don't allow your dog to stop and sniff everything. It gets to do that when it's off lead or on long lead. When it's in a short lead training, don't do that, okay? Other thing is, and one of the biggest things, is trying to train in the environment rather than for the environment. And what I mean by that, for example, we do a lot of groundwork. And I don't know if anybody here has else done any sort of free fall parachuting, but we don't just go up in an aircraft, attach ourselves a parachute, jump out, give it a go, and see how it goes. You know, we do a lot of training before we get to that real environment. And what I find is a lot of people, we know that dogs are probably one of the best exercise accessories we can get. Okay, it gets us out in the fresh air. We love our country walks with a dog, but people don't do the training before that. They get the young dog or a rescue dog, and we attach the dog to a lead or a collar. We expect it to know, expect it to feel comfortable, and we expect it to be able to go for a lovely country walk that we enjoy. And there's massively distracting zone. You have to think about what a dog is appreciating, what's seeing, what's smelling. So if you go for a nice walk and you're trying to train your dog in a country track, a field, or a park where there's lots of dogs, there's dog scent, you're pushing custard up a hill, there's no way that you're more interesting to your dog at that point than everything else around it. So I'm going to be talking more about that later on, but we're talking about training for the environment rather than in the environment. The other thing that people do, I find, is they concentrate on the dog's behaviour, when in actual fact, if they have not learned what they need to do, what they need to be able to reward the dog, etc., we're going to go through in a short period of time, then the dog has got no chance of being able to understand what you want it to do. So I'm going to ask you to, one, learn, and secondly, concentrate on your own behaviours, what you're doing, what you're saying, your timing, etc., so that the dog can understand what's asking to do. If you keep concentrating on my dog's bullying, my dog's doing this, why is my dog doing this? Then you're never going to win. So you need to learn what you need to do so that you can put that into practice so the dog can learn. A dog cannot change its behaviors unless the human does. And that's why I train humans more than I train people. Okay, reasons behind continued and long-term lead pulling. One, we don't train them. We simply muddle along, become frustrated, and try to force the dog not to pull by using various contraptions and equipment, halty collars, all manner of chest leads and all this kind of stuff. And you might actually have some success by doing that, but you're not training the problem. All you're doing is stopping the dog through physicality from pulling. For example, I go into people's homes when I do one-to-ones, and I walk into this home, it's like an obstacle course. And one of the biggest things is they don't want their dog to go upstairs. So they have a baby gate at the bottom of the stairs. And I say to the people, what's your baby gate there for? Do you have a baby? No, it's just to stop the dog going upstairs. Okay, why don't you train your dog not to go upstairs? Then you won't need to climb over the baby gate or open the baby gate, because nobody wants the baby gate there. It's just an inconvenience for them, but it's to stop the dog going up. And so why don't you teach the dog boundaries, that bottom stairs is a no-go area? So what I'm talking about is don't use contraptions or rely on bits of equipment and contraptions to stop your dog pulling. You're not dealing with the brain. We are trying to teach the dog to genuinely relax, not force it not to pull. There's a big difference there. Okay, number two, because we can't smell what they do, we forget that scent is everywhere. And it's the biggest distraction to a dog. So ask yourself, what environment are you training in? And we'll go into more detail with regards to that later on. Sometimes we think the dog is just going through a phase. I hear that many times. I thought my dog was just going through a phase. And I thought that miraculously and eventually the dog would just learn to relax on the lead when it grows up. Actually, what you're doing by having that mindset, you're allowing your dog to practice the exact behaviors that you don't want to do. You're just waiting on this dog just to grow up. You're just waiting on it for one day, it's just going to stop pulling. And that doesn't happen, folks. Our dogs will self-reinforce and it will become worse and worse. The other thing we do, number four, is we go to the same places all the time. And not only do we go to the same places all the time, because we are humans, and as humans, we are a habitual animal. We do things all the time, which is why dogs know what we're going to do before they do. All these cues and triggers that we create. We put our shoes on, we put a jacket on, pick up the car keys or the house keys, and the dog knows, yeah, beauty, we're going for a walk, and it gets excited. Okay, so if we go to the same place all the time, the dog knows you come out the gate, you turn left, you cross the road, you turn right, you go up the alley, and the park's just there. And it might only be a short distance to where you think that you're training. So you kind of put up with it. Well, the park's just not far away. And when I get there, I'll let the dog off. And not only do we take the dog to this exciting place, we create a party. We will throw a ball for the dog. We'll let it play with other dogs. The dog now starts to remember, when I go for a walk, I go to this same place all the time. And when I get there, yeah, beauty. So come on, hurry up, let's get there. And it'll pull you to get there. And not only we put up with it, we actually let the dog achieve. We take that dog and we do allow it every day or a couple of times a day to have that party. And the dog just becomes excited to get to where you're going all the time. Okay. So be aware, this again is about environment and repeating yourself all the time. As I said, we are very predictable to our dogs, and we've got to try and sometimes avoid that wherever possible. The other big mistake I see people is they get the dog excited before they go. Now, just give me a little hands up. Let's be honest. How many times do you say to your dog, do you want to go for a walk? We'll go for a walk. Come on, let's go for a walk. Thank you. John's iPad, where we are. Colin, great. And to be honest, it's okay. We're all putting our hands up. And we do this out of politeness, because don't get me wrong, I've got a dog for the same reason as you. I love my dog very much, and I talk gobbledygook to him all the times. And I will talk to him at times that it doesn't matter. But when I'm training, it's a completely different demeanor. Okay. Before you go for a walk, before you even think I'm going to take Freddie out for a walk, please do not speak to Freddie. I'm using Freddie as whatever your dog's name is. Switch on and start saying, what I do from now on is important. If you get your dog excited before you leave the house, you're pumping adrenaline into it before you even leave. You're getting the dog excited. Now, I'm sure as adults, we've all been excited for one reason or another, and that's not a learning state of mind. That's not a thinking state of mind. Calmness is what we want to reward, and calmness is what we're looking for. So we want to mirror what we want back. I get excited when I'm doing a young dog recall. I get like a 10-year-old schoolgirl on Christmas Day. Yeah, beauty, you've come back to me, yahoo. Yeah, get excited then, because I want the dog to know, oh, that's a great thing. But if I want a passive dog to sit, stay, lie down, whatever, it's got to be calm. Now, when we are teaching our dog anything, we're looking for a calm state of mind. So please do not get your dog wound up and excited before you even leave the house. I go into some people's homes and the dog's going boing, 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 because they've said, come on, let's go for a walk, yahoo. And they wonder why they've got issues. Calmness, okay? Do not say anything to your dog. Do not feel that you're being rude to your dog by saying absolutely nothing before you go out. Your cues and triggers will already know, the dog will know, right, we're going out. And it will get mildly excited because it knows. I'm not dwelling on it, but if you have too many problems with regards to trying to get your dog out in a calm state, then you've got to desensitize that. That's a different subject for a different day. I could go on forever to do with that, okay? So just be calm, before you leave the house. Okay, the other thing we do is we walk in a big, boring, straight line. Now, you might go out to the park, and what most people do is they will go to their exercise area. Let's call it the size of 4 football fields, a park, you name it, wherever you know that you are local. And what people will do is they will take the dog the same route from the house, or they'll even drive the car there to the same car park, and they're getting the dog out, and it's already excited because it knows where it is in the first place. And we go into the park, and if there's a gate, when we close the gate, we walk in 10, 20 yards and we let the dog off and it goes yahoo. And or if we're on a lead, which is really what we're talking about, because perhaps the dog doesn't have recall or it's reactive or any of the 100 other reasons that some people are not able to let their dog off the lead, they will walk around the park to get the dog the most physical exercise, because that's what they're doing. They're taking the dog for a walk, and they think that the dog needs a walk. Yes, it does, but they're having no mental stimulation. They're not engaging with their dog. They're just actually physically exercising this dog. And you might go around in a square or a circle all the way back to your home, but all the time that you're doing that, your dog is out in front and you're actually walking in a straight line. If you're walking in a straight line all the time, the dog is picking up fresh scent, it's seeing and hearing and smelling new distractions all the time. So everything becomes more interesting than you. You've got to do what's called quartering. You never, when you're training a dog, you've got to do about quartering. You're changing your direction. 5 yards, 10 yards, 20 yards, you're doing all manner of stuff. And again, I'll go into more detail that in a little minute. But I want you to start thinking about what you do on a walk. Anything that I have mentioned so far, if you're ticking those boxes to say, yeah, I do that, yeah, I do that, that's great news for you, because you know what to change. As I said, it's impossible for a dog to change their behaviour unless you do. By the way, there's no other name for people like me. They call us dog trainers. I do not regard myself as a dog trainer. Yes, I'm a highly qualified dog trainer, and I've been training dogs since I was 17. I'm now in my 60s. But as I said to you briefly before, that's no use to you, okay? Dog trainers who come along and train your dog without training you, as I used to do, is of no consequences, of no benefit to you at all. You have to learn to drive the car. You are training all the time. Your dog trainer does not stay with you, live with you, go for a walk with you every day. Okay, so please realize that whatever you do with your dog, you are training at a positive or a negative at all times. Okay, that's important for you to know. The other thing we don't do is we don't engage during a lead walk. We think that our training is maybe in the park or in the garden or some other damn place. But the journey to get from A to B doesn't really count as training. If you're here for lead walking, for loose lead walking, then you must prioritize training your dog to walk relaxed on a loose lead. Okay, consider that a very big part of your training, because everything else falls into place when we have a relaxed dog that's interested in you, that you become the source of all good things in that dog's life. I can go back and rewind for a long time with regards to getting your dog's focus, becoming the source of all things good. Because when a dog chases a squirrel or a rabbit, it's because you're boring and you don't give the dog the outlet. If you think that your dog is getting exercise simply by going to a park and letting it play because it's friendly with other dogs, running about Yahoo, you're boring. It's getting its hit, it's getting its fix elsewhere, not from you. I'll not dwell on that just now, but that's one of the big things that I see. Okay. The other thing, number 8, sometimes the pooling becomes so frustrated. And I've seen helps so many people who've called for help, and maybe now I'm not even the first dog trainer that they've called, but their dog has been on the lead for. I've met people who said, "When was the last time your dog was off the lead?" And they say 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm going, "What?" And they say, "Well, when he was a year old, or when he was a pup, or whatever, he ran across the street and I got a fright, or he ran away once, he disappeared for hours, and I had to pick him up at the police station," or all these hundreds of other stories that I've got. And the human decides, okay, I got a fright, I don't want my dog to be run over, and quite rightly, but what they do is they say, right, that's it, you're not getting off the lead again. Now, what happens then is that instead of fixing the problem and addressing it, they say, I'm just going to place the safe card, I'm going to keep you on a lead. What happens then is the dog is not being able to expend that energy, now even more energy, because when it was off lead, it was getting rid of something, but now it's only getting 3 lead walks around the block or around the park or whatever. That's not how a dog is able to relax and exercise its mind, and it becomes more frustrated. So then we get to the stage where we don't know what to do, we keep the dog in a lead, and the dog becomes more frustrated, and it pulls even harder tomorrow and even harder the next day. So then we start fitting a harness for it, so it doesn't, it doesn't hurt itself, and we just kind of put up and resign ourselves to that. So please don't resign yourself to being pulled around. You can fix it. Older the dog, the longer it's been going on, yes, it can take a little bit more time, depending on the breed, which again I'm going to come on to as well. But please don't resign yourself to being pulled around by your dog. And I'm not just talking about the benefits for you, I'm really talking about the benefits for your dog. Okay, let's look at your breed traits. I'm sure everybody here has got different dogs, different breeds, etc. Okay, but I want you to be fair to your dog. Ask yourself, are you fighting against centuries of breeding and genetics? So what I mean by that, dogs like Siberian Huskies, Alaskan Malamutes, Bernese Mountain Dogs, and many, many other breeds, especially some working dogs, have been bred by us humans for strength and endurance, and they're more naturally inclined to pull. I have many people who have Huskies, for example, and quite wrongly, and upset, but it doesn't upset me, but they say, "Oh, I've got a Husky, but I've been told by the Husky Club never to let it off a lead because Huskies don't have recall." Okay, no, that's wrong. You have to put in a lot more work, and you have to be more engaging, you have to have more skills, etc. But yes, it can be done. So looking at the breed of your dog, some breeds have got really strong independent streak or high prey drives, which can contribute to the pooling behaviour. Terriers, hounds, some working breeds are often more independent minded and may be less responsive to lead training, but yes, it can still be done. Just set yourself up for a bit of a longer journey and a more informed, concentrated time to do that. Okay, you just need to work that a little bit harder and a little bit longer. If you have a breed which is prone to pull, then we've got to look at it slightly different. An old trainer told me 100 years ago when I was a young laddie learning my trade in the RAF as a 17-year-old boy, if it's in the dog, it will come out the dog. What I mean by that, if you have a dog with a breed trait, it needs an outlet for that. Now, for example, collies like to herd things. I've got many clan dog members who have bought a collie from a farm. It's a working breed. It's in the blood. It needs to do that job. That's what we've been bred to do. Let me do that job. And the human doesn't have sheep. Not many of us do. But what they do is they live in a city or a town which has cars which move. And as far as the dog is concerned, that's fine. I don't have sheep. I'll just round up these cars. I'll round up the kids in the park. Oh, there's a push bike. I'll go and round up that. I'm talking about giving a dog an outlet for its breed. So you've got to recognize if you have a breed of dog that needs to expend that thing that we've trained them to do, by the way, then you have to allow that. For example, when I was in the police, I wasn't a police dog handler. I was, as I said, I was a firearms hostage rescue team officer, and we used to use dogs for certain operations, firearms operations. But I worked with alongside the police dog handlers, civic police dog handlers then as well. And some of you here might know, I think there's actually a couple of guys here I know who are professional dog trainers. One of them's an RAF police dog handler for the military, is for the MOD as well. I'm sure you'll resonate with that, with this. Police dogs, you will see, even on your TV shows, you will see a police dog handler walking along with his dog on a collar and a lead. But if you have your house broken into and the bad man runs away with your telly, the police dog handler will show up and bring his dog out with a lead and a collar, and then maybe the uniform cop will say, the guy was seen running across that field. He'll instantly then put a tracking harness on his dog, on his GSD or his general purpose dog. The dog's mind switches straight away. 1 minute I'm on a collar and a lead, I know what I'm asked to behave or how I'm asked to behave that way. As soon as this harness goes on me, I've got a different job to do. The reason a police dog handler will put a harness on a dog, it gives the dog freedom of its neck to put its nose to the deck, which is what the cop wants them to do. I want you to sniff out that guy, follow his scent, and let's find the bugger. So the dog has freedom of its neck. It'll put its nose down to the deck, and it'll pick up that scent, and it'll go in that big, boring straight line that we talked about, earlier on. It will pick up that scent, and it will follow that scent. He went in that garden, he went over that hedge, he's been in that hut, whatever, and the dog will keep moving, follow that scent, because it has that freedom. So if you think about putting a harness on a dog, and a lot of people will put harness on a dog for the right reasons, but you're never going to be able to solve it in this way. Many people put a harness on the dog to make it more comfortable for them, because understandably, they don't want the dog choking on its collar. That's not fixing the problem. That's allowing the dog to practice that behaviour. And there's a kind of happy medium between training a dog to walk naturally and on a harness, letting it do what it does. There's an argument to say that a harness gives the person more control over the dog. I would argue against that. It makes it more secure, and the human feels more, because if it's to run out to lead and it slips its collar, it's still going to be able to get out. Well, we shouldn't be having a dog but it's able to slip its collar in the first place. But secondly, it doesn't really resolve the problem. Yes, you can train a dog to walk to heel using a harness. It's going to take a little bit longer, and a lot more things have to happen before you take your dog out into a high distraction zone and ask it to focus on you. Okay, so we'll come to equipment stuff in a little minute. Okay, considering the environment, I want you to consider the environmental factors, if you like. Distractions. One of the biggest things that people do not see, because they do not think about what the dog is seeing, smelling, or interacting with, okay? Do not look at your lovely park and just see the green trees and the lovely river or whatever. Think about what a dog is seeing, what a dog is experiencing. And as I said, you train for the environment, not in the environment. A lot of people miss out the boring part of dog training or lead pulling. When I was in the military and the firearms hostage rescue team, we would practice over 100 times for a certain operation. We would practice, 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 so that when we get into that environment, it becomes second nature. It's quick, 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 done. Okay. Though if there's any other veterans here, you will recognize the expression train hard, fight easy. We train and we train and we train and we train for maybe one job. We'll do months or weeks and weeks of training just to get to that perfection of a certain operation. Okay. So think about your environment in a different way. Okay. If you try to train loose lead walking in a high distraction area, like a country field path, a grassy field, a public park full of dogs, their dog scent, other distractions, a pathway beside a busy road, there's distractions, etc., then you're pushing custard up a hill. You're fighting against, you want your dog's attention on you. And if all these other surroundings are bigger than you, more interesting than you, or more fearful than you, then you're really not going to be able to get your dog's attention. Okay. That's why I say to people, I want you to remove the word walk out of your vocabulary. Yes, we always talk about taking our dog for a walk, and you are actually doing that. But if before you leave the house, you say to yourself, right, I'm not taking my dog for a walk, I'm taking my dog for a training exercise. Before you even get your shoes on, before you even put your jacket on, anything at all, when you say to yourself quietly in your brain, right, time for the dog to go out, don't say I'm going for a dog walk. I want you to switch on and say, right, I'm going for a training exercise, and everything I do from this moment matters. All right. Use I always say to people, use like an empty car park or a disused industrial estate on a Sunday afternoon when there's nothing about, there's no people, there's no cars, you're on tarmac or concrete. Now, nothing is scent free to a dog, but there's a big difference between walking on a tarmac car park with nothing in it, no cars going around, obviously, or a disused school playground, something like that. Anything you can find. But if you start asking your dog to walk, to learn to walk on a lead relaxed when there's so many other distractions right under their nose, then you're going to struggle. That's the biggest thing that people miss out. We get a dog and we want to go for a lovely country walk with a dog, but the dog ends up pulling us and we don't know why. That is the reason why, guys. We've got to pare it back a little bit and start thinking about, we've got to do the boring part of dog training first. Nobody likes walking around a disused car park on a Sunday afternoon. It's not enjoyable. But we have to do the stuff so that we can get to the lovely country walk. So we can teach the dog what we want to do. When you're on this lead, you walk nice and calm beside me. I never want to know I've got a dog on the lead. I could, loosely wiggle my hand around and I don't know I've got a dog in the lead. That's all well and good. But the real benefit is the dog doesn't know it's attached to somebody else. It's got that freedom. It's got that relaxed state of mind. That's the important flip side to it, if you like. Okay. Okay. I can't express enough the importance of understanding canine behaviour. Excuse me, drinking. I know that we all love our dogs dearly, but many people do not understand how a dog thinks, what makes them tick, or even how to communicate with them. We love our dogs and we become good, kind, loving providers, but we're not leaders. And when we're walking a dog in a lead, we're not part of that equation. We are just a secure anchor to stop it running out for the road. The dog is maybe a yard in front of you because your lead's that long. We sometimes use extended leads. The dog could be 20 feet in front of you. You're not anything part of that dog's training or part of its dog walk, okay? We'll come on to equipment more in a wee little while. So this is why, because I find people love their dogs and they want to do the best by them, but through conversations and working with them for, well, one-to-ones are usually 2.5, 3 hours long. I understand that you actually don't understand a dog, and I'm not here to point fingers, or because we all have to learn at some point. But there's a lot of people get a dog and they don't really know what's involved in it. And if we can't communicate with a dog, if we don't know what makes them tick, then how can we reward them for the behaviors that we're asking for them? So understanding how a dog ticks, understanding how it works is vital for any training, not just loose lead walking. So study everything you can about dogs and their behaviours. For example, I know that there's someone, I can't see them, but there's 3 pages here, so I'm not going to bother, but I'm very sure there's 2 very highly qualified chefs who I know personally who are on the Zoom tonight, and I'm talking top of their game chefs. Can you imagine either of them, and whoever you are, well, Craig and Mark, I'm sure you're giggling in the background here at the moment. Can you imagine me going into one of your kitchens and you saying, right, go and cook for that lot out there, whoever they are, these royalties or celebrities or whoever else it is, you wouldn't let me anywhere near that bloody kitchen. You know why? Because I can't cook to your level. I've not been trained. I do not know. It would be a mess. They certainly wouldn't bloody eat it, okay? So let's be fair to our dogs. It's us who has got to learn to be able to teach them. So learn as much as you can all about dogs, okay? Okay, let's talk about equipment. There's a lot of talk regards to harness versus collar, and I'll go through this in a little bit, okay? A harness is more comfortable, and they say provides better control for the owner. However, I would argue against that. You just become whatever more secure, you become a wee bit more relaxed because you don't think your dog can slip its collar and run across the road or whatever. You're not really dealing with the problem, okay? Yes, a harness distributes pressure more evenly across the dog's body, reducing the risk of injury. However, as I said before about the police dog, it allows that dog's head to go down. You're not controlling the head and collar, okay? The dog goes down, it sniffs, it picks up the scent, and that becomes more interesting than you. So I always advocate, I've never owned a harness, I'm not against them. And yes, you can, if somebody, as many people are now, hell-bent on just using a harness, yes, we can still train a dog to walk to heel in a harness. It takes a little bit more effort, a little bit more time, and a little bit more focused concentration before you even go out for a walk in the first place. The other thing about a harness, if you think about it, we tend to go where we're looking. I'm sure any drivers out here, how many times have you maybe been walking, driving along a lovely country lane and something on your right or your left gets your attention, and you maybe look out for that just a few seconds longer than you should have done because you're driving, you should be concentrating on the roads, and you find yourself going that way, okay? We tend to go where our eyes go. If our dog is able to have the freedom, because it's in a harness, to put his neck to the ground and look at different things, then that's what's going to happen. That's why you'll get dogs zigzagging around, they're going around you because everything's more interesting, okay? A harness, I don't have one to show you, I've got other equipment to show you. Is not my go-to piece of equipment for lead pulling, okay? A martingale, let's talk about them then. Okay, let me show you this. Can you see this? Okay, this is what's called a martingale. Please do not call it a half choke because it's not. A choke chain is just basically a loop of chain which goes round the dog, and when you pull it, it can nip or whatever. That is what it does. It's a choke chain. This is not a choke chain. This is called a martingale. If you can imagine your dog's head here, and it's not going to be like that, because if it was too big or incorrectly adjusted, then it's all the weight is back on the front of the neck. This should be adjusted so that when the dog is nice and relaxed, there's a little gap between those 2 D-rings here. Okay, I'm trying to show you. The lead is attached to this one, and there's a little gap here. So when the dog is not pulling, it's nice and relaxed, then you can get your fingers underneath it, it's nice and loose. But if you listen to that, that chain noise is right behind the dog's ear. Now, if you get your timing right, and you can choose your cue, your words, your command, however you choose to describe it, and I use the word heel. If I go heel, heel, not heel, then check, or check, then heel, 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 it's another audible thing for the dog to hear. As soon as the dog checks itself, we say heel, the dog stops, it looks at you, good boy, he's clever. We'll come on to rewards and stuff in a minute, okay? That's my go-to piece of equipment for training a dog, a martingale collar, okay? It's non-aversive, you'll get them in the pet shops, any good pet shop will get them. Okay, I'll look, my notes are here. Length of lead. Now, I've seen over the years so many different sort of styles and lengths of lead. Okay, this is the thing that I use. It's just a bit of webbing, It's got a straightforward clip here to attach the dog's collar, and it's got a handle, and it's about 1 metre long, okay? Now, a lot of people say to me, how long is your lead? Well, that's completely irrelevant, because I'm 5'8" on a good day with my Allan lad shoes on. My dog's a certain size. He's a certain height off the ground, okay? If you're 6'6" and you've got a little chihuahua or a small dog, then that length of lead has to be a little bit longer, because what we're looking for is long enough so that you can relax that lead, but short enough so that the dog is not away out in front. You don't want your arms straight and your dog away out in front of you, because the dog should be looking for, what you're looking for is your dog's shoulder to be, when you're walking, your dog's shoulder should be just about where your calves are. And when you do it right, you'll find your dog ever so often just checking to see where your legs are in its periphery vision. If it's outside that and it cannot see your legs, then your dog's in the wrong position, okay? We're not looking for a dog here. Nobody's looking for a dog here. Well, you might be. A show dog, Velcro to your leg. Absolutely, yeah. We can all do that. That will take you hours and hours and weeks and months of work. I would think that most people here are just being able to want to walk their dog nice and calmly in the street, okay? Slip leads. Lots of controversial talk from other trainers about slip leads. I've actually seen some dog trainers say any dog trainer uses a slip lead, don't go near them. Now, this is a slip lead, okay? And this is actually my own dog's lead. And I don't train with this. Now, the slip lead essentially goes, I'll put it around my neck actually. So if you do choose to use these, then it's high up here and it's right behind the ears. It holds the dog's neck up, okay? I don't train with them. I only use this when my dog is trained not to pull. And I consider a lead, any lead for a dog, is like a seat belt in a car. It's there for safety, but I don't want to know I'm wearing it. I don't want to feel it. Those of a certain age, like myself, probably, the old seat belts, they weren't inertia. You had to adjust them and you felt it all the time. There was no movement in it. You're always aware of it, okay? We don't want that. We want a dog to have that freedom. So when I walk Otto on his slip lead, it's kind of a bit of a wee off the shoulder number, okay? It's just there for safety and legal reasons as well, highway code, etc., okay? Long lead. A long lead is something that I find that people miss out. We go from having a young dog, an untrained dog, a young puppy, for example, and we take that dog to the park, and with intrepidation, I've seen this many times, and I say to people, let your wee puppy off the lead. Let her off the lead? What, you're joking? Let her completely off? Yep. Oh, but will not run away? No, you won't run away. And you take the dog off the lead, and it doesn't run away, because it needs, at that young age, the world's a scary place and that dog needs you for security. So if you walk 5 yards that way, your pup will follow you, and you turn away and the pup will follow you. And at that stage of its life, people forget to do the lead training because they fall into this false sense of security. Oh, you need to do recall. Brilliant. Everywhere I go, my dog comes to me. But as that dog gains confidence, and it grows and matures and it no longer needs you for security, and there's always a first time for everything, you take that same dog to the same park and you let the dog off, and woof, off it goes to play with other dog or chase a squirrel, and you think, bloody hell, it's never done that before. Yeah, well, you missed out the long lead training. Long lead training is the intermittent stage between a young dog. It's to do with recall as well, but the long lead encourages your dog to understand that good things happen when they're around you. So if your dog's not in a lead, one, you're not willing, or you might be willing to recall the dog, but you're not able to. You're not able to reward the dog for hanging around you because it decides to bugger off and chase the rabbit or the squirrel, go and play with other dog, and it gets used to practicing these behaviours because it can. The long lead training is vital. So a long lead comes in different, and again, this is relative to the size of your dog. So this is just a 30-foot, 10-meter bit of webbing. It's got a clip on one end. And again, if you're doing long lead training with a big, powerful dog, I suggest you do use a harness. So if the dog takes off at 50 miles an hour and you're holding 30 feet of length and the dog's at full pelt, we don't want that, okay? The reason that I suggest in this forum that you use a harness for long lead training is because whilst when I'm with somebody, I can show them techniques to stop that injury happening, but that's not something I can really explain in words here. So I'm always going to err on the safety side to say, if you're long leash training at a certain age of a dog, or even a mature dog that's been rescued and you're getting to know it, and more important is getting to know you, and we need that ability to control our dogs, then yes, that's when we use a harness and a long lead. Okay, leave that there. You can get all manner of different long leads. Again, this is 30 foot, but don't try and put the one that I showed you, which is webbing, or this one. This is a floating line. So when I'm doing retrieves, water retrieves for a dog, that's a floating line. Okay. Think about it. We've got a small breed dog, name it, doesn't matter what it is, a small breed dog, and we've got 30 foot of webbing, and it's been raining, and the dog is pulling that 30 foot of webbing behind it. It now soaks up all the water and it becomes heavier and heavier. And that's a big resistance for that dog. Okay, so we need a shorter or a different material. If you've got a large breed dog, we don't want a 10 foot piece of light line. It's all relative to the size of your dog and the strength of your dog as well. So some people say, what length is your line? Well, I would ask the question, what size is your dog? And what power does it have? Okay, extended leads, to be honest, and you'll get a lot of controversial discussion about this. I don't like extended leads, guys, and I'll tell you why. Is even when they're not locked, and I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, the handle that's got the retracted line that goes into it. Okay, even when they're not locked out, that dog attached to the other end of it still has that bit of resistance to know that it's attached. That spring-loaded recoil is still able to, the dog is able to feel it, okay? And people use it as a bit of a cop-out. I want my dog to have exercise. It's got no recoil. It doesn't pull, it pulls in the lead. So, you know, I don't want to do that. So I just let it run around after the extended lead. Again, you're copping out of training, okay? I don't like them that way because the dog never really learns the difference between complete freedom and wanting to go back to the handler, as opposed to, you could train a dog on extended lead for months and months and months, but the first time you think, well, it's coming back and it's done this, and the first time that you take that off, the dog feels the difference. I'm free. Woof, off I go. So a long line is able to give that dog that freedom. You're not holding on to it. You're not walking along with a dog 30 feet in front of you, towing you behind it. You're doing quartering and zigzagging, which is all the stuff I teach within the membership, all the training videos. And I know there's quite a lot of Clan Dog members here who have been studying all the videos, the training videos that I put on there. And by the way, yes, there is a loose leads training video for anybody later on who maybe wants to dive in and have a look, okay? But I'm not here to sell you anything, I'm here to help you. Okay, let's look at rewards. Pay your dog for the behaviors that you want. And I talk about a reward hierarchy. Now, what I mean by that is everybody here, everybody's dog is an individual. You might have half a dozen German Shepherds or half a dozen Spaniels or Labradors or whatever it is. But even though you have a dog and then you have a certain breed of dog, your dog is an individual, just like us. And what is a reward for me might not be a reward for you. So somebody says to me, really great training day today, Alan, thanks very much, I'm going to take you for a pint. And we walk into the bar and that person says, really appreciate that, Alan, there's your brandy. Yeah, what? I wouldn't touch it. It's horrible. It's not a reward to me. So I say to people, find out what your dog's reward hierarchy is. And the higher the reward, the more interesting you become. Okay? So some dogs like cheese, sausages. Some dogs will just work for a bit of kibble. Don't care what it is, but find out what your dog's reward hierarchy. I include in that toys. So again, I refer back to my military police times, and you will see on your TV show, there's the police dog just found all these drugs in the back of a car. It sniffs it out and it points, and then it looks at the handler, and the handler goes, okay, there's something in there, mate. And they open up, oh, there's the drugs. And what does it get as a reward? A tennis ball. Now, I'm sure a lot of people will know, especially the ex-vets, and there's a few professional dog trainers here as well. That dog never gets open access to that reward because it's no longer special. So when you leave your dog's toys lying around the living room floor for it to play with whenever it likes to stop them getting bored, and you'll find the dog doesn't actually play with them much. Occasionally it might pick one up and have a chuck about or a wee squeak or whatever, but it's not really that engaged with it because it's not special. If you find your dog has a particular interest in a certain type of food, keep that food back because that's special. We're going to keep that for training. If your dog really likes its little elephant or its squeaky ball or anything at all, remove it. You're not being cruel. Remove it, put it in a cupboard, put it in a kitchen drawer, whatever. And when you want to go out and engage that dog and you produce that thing, wow, you've got it. Brilliant. Okay, I've not seen that all day. I'm quite happy to engage with you. Okay. I could go on forever regards to that, but find out what your dog's reward hierarchy is, restrict it, and use it for training. If you're going to use food rewards, and that is a very easy way for it to get your dog's attention, make sure your dog's hungry. So many people will have their dogs on 2, sometimes 3 meals a day, and you give your dog a big bowl of food for nothing. There you go, there's your breakfast, help yourself. And then you say, right, let's go out, and I'm going to give you some food as a reward for stopping to pull. And they say, nah, I'm not interested in the food because I just had my breakfast or my dinner or my tea or whatever, and I would rather just drag you along behind the scent, thanks very much. But if you want to score a goal, then make sure the dog has not had its breakfast. Take its breakfast out in your pocket if need be. Take a bit of cheese, sausage, chicken, ham, you name it, whatever that thing is, and ask the dog to remain in the position. It's hard for me, by the way, to actually demonstrate where a dog should be in its position. But again, that is in the training video within the membership for any members that are here. I'm sure you've probably watched it already. But for anybody not, I've got a wee offer for you later on. We'll come back to that later on. Okay. But do not feel bad about restricting your dog's favourite toy or its favourite food, and you use it for training so that it becomes a reward, so it becomes valuable. Do not devalue something that a dog wants. Use it for training and give it to the dog for the behaviours that you want, okay? Choose your cue, your keyword, and stick to it. We've got this hell of a bad habit of have unrealistic expectations of our dog. And we will try to train our dog to, for example, what we're talking about here is heel work. And let's say we use the word heel. And we start saying to the dog heel. And it starts to understand what it is. We start getting somewhere, we're starting to get some progress. And the next day we take the dog out and say heel. And it's not even looking at you. And you think, oh, and you start using the word close. Or come on this way. Or you start overusing your dog's name all the time. Okay. So if you're training what I call a noise, what we call a word. I always talk from the dog's point of view. So if you are using a noise, a word, close, heel, whatever you choose, do not change it. Excuse me, let's get rid of that. Somebody phoning me from Australia. Oh my God. So do not change it. Dogs do not understand every word that we expect them to. We've got so many variables for things. I'm not dwelling on it, but how many times have you said to your dog, sit? You train your dog to that noise, what we call the word sit. And after a period of repetition and reward, the dog gets it. And now you know that your dog understands the word sit. And then the next day you say to your dog, sit. And he doesn't sit, because that's what dogs do sometimes. And you think, why didn't he sit? I'll say auto sit. We'll use his name first in case he thinks I'm speaking to somebody else. Say auto sit. Now that becomes one noise, auto sit. And he doesn't sit. And you say, sit down. Come on, sit nice. Sit in your bum. And we try all these different things. Okay. Don't do that. I'll go back to what I was saying before. Concentrate on your own behavior, your own language, your own energy. Be fair to your dog so that you've got a best chance of understanding it. Okay, tone of voice and your own energy and your own state of mind matters. Let's look at frustration. I'm sure that everyone here at some point in their life, their dog has frustrated them. Okay. Now you think about what happens when we become frustrated. Let's say man in park has got 20 minutes, half an hour to exercise his dog before he goes to work. And his dog's got normal recall and he lets the dog off and he'll shout, Freddie, come. Very happy, he's quite relaxed, not a problem. The dog usually comes back to me. Freddie come, but Freddie doesn't come. And the guy decides, maybe he didn't hear me, so I'll just raise my voice a little bit. Freddie, come on, come. And he starts throwing a few different words in there. Now the tone's already changing because the emotion is changing. Then he'll say, come on, because he's in a hurry. He's got to get to work. The vocal cords change. Your energy changes, okay? Take the emotion out of dog training. You can act, sit, come, whatever. This way of speaking to a dog is received completely different in the brain. Do not put hypothetical question marks at the end of every instruction. What I mean by that is if you say to your dog, no, leave it, no, stop it, heel, come, these are all would you minds. Okay, and it's not about being aggressive, it's not about being loud or aggro, it's exactly what you don't want. But we need to have a clear, concise tone. This is why clickers are used. I cannot change how that sounds. If I want to, there's a difference between marking and rewarding behavior, which I'll not go into. But marking a behavior is involved in timing. If I want a dog to sit, for example, a young dog is under training and it sits of its own accord. As soon as its backside hits the deck, click, then a reward with a tidbit, calm, praise, whatever, okay? That cannot change. I cannot change that, but you can change what you say. Understand? So I could say sit, or I could say sit, or I could say sit. These are all different noises. You cannot change that. That's why it's a consistent. Now, you don't have to use a clicker, but if you can concentrate on everything that comes out my mouth has to be consistent. When a noise comes out my mouth and I'm asking a dog to do something, then it has to understand that thing. Do not change it. All right. Okay. Training techniques to stop lead pulling in the first place. 1, relax. I can't emphasize enough how important it is. You know that your dog, somewhere in your life, you have had angst, aggro, upset. Your human emotions have you felt your human emotions, okay? And your dog knows it. You cannot hide your emotions from a dog, okay? So relaxation is what we're asking our dog to do. So if we are upset, we're anxious, we're nervous, or oh my God, my dog lunges at other dogs. And before you even go out of the house, you become anxious because you're expecting your dog to do it. So I always say to people when I'm doing a one-to-one with them, relax, okay? Just take all that rubbish out of the head that you've gathered that day or whatever, park it, deal with it later on if need be. But when you're dealing with your dog, you've always got to be cool and relax around them because they pick that up. That's what we're looking for, okay? It's hence, go back to what I was saying earlier on, let's not get our dogs excited before we even go out. Empty the rubbish out your head and concentrate only what you're doing at that time, just for 5 or 10 minutes. Dog training is not about taking your dog for a walk for an hour and try to teach it. Dog training, now I know that not everybody here has the luxury of this, but I've been a full-time dog trainer all my days. I had a dog training school, as I said, I was licensed for 50 dogs every day for 10 years. Now, some of them were in for residential training, and I would take dog number 1 out of its kennel, and I'll give 5 or 10 minutes of peas and poos, you know, as we call it. I hate that word, but clean itself out. And then I would ask for 5 or 10 minutes of concentrated training, and that's it, no more. Just concentrate on me, mate, for 5, 10 minutes, okay? Then I'm going to give you a rest. And then I'll take the next dog out and do the same with him or her. And then the next dog out. And by the time I've done dog 4 or 5, and I'm back to the first dog, he's had an hour and a half's rest. And I'll take the dog out, give it 5, 10 minutes of enrichment, stimulation, and look at you, explore your surroundings. Now, I want 5 or 10 minutes of your concentrated time. Short and often is the secret to dog training, okay? Understand that you will have good days and you will have bad days. Do not dwell on the bad days. I put a post up here on my Facebook page just the other day about understand that you will have bad days. I'm talking about dog training. We'll have bad days. I'm talking about dog training. And your dog training graft is almost like a COVID graft. I used to have it. In fact, I still have it all the time. I take a dog out in the morning and I think, brilliant, mate, you're getting it. We're getting somewhere. Brilliant. And I leave it an hour or two and I take it out for another session and it's like we've never met. It's just not interested. It's had enough, whatever. If I dwell on that, the next time I go into that dog to take it out for training, I've always remembered, well, doesn't do this, doesn't do that. You've got to keep neutral. Always remember that your training will go up and down. As long as it's generally going up, it'll go like that. Okay, so relax. Anticipate that to begin with, your dog will pull. Okay, your dogs are not trained yet, and if it's not trained, let's have a wee bit fair to your dog. You're under training, you don't know what you're doing yet, and I can go with that. Understand that your dog will pull to begin with, and learn to stay relaxed because, as I said before, if you go, oh my God, you've already screwed up your own training because you have changed, you've become frustrated. Your manner, everything you do, you'll start getting tense. When I do one-to-ones and I say to people, right, relax your shoulders, put the hand down there, relax. Understand that you shouldn't have a dog on the lead. Get used to not feeling your dog on the lead. And because their dog's been pulling for years and years, it's alien to them. And what they find they do is they bring the dog. They pull back up and I say, whoa, what are you doing? What do you mean? They're not even aware of it. I said, you've tensed up. You've created pressure on the lead. I said, concentrate on yourself, not on the dog. The dog will read your body posture and language in the first place. Okay. Start in the round. Do, as I said before, don't go for your dog in a nice country walk or a park full of other dogs, whatever. Start with the boring stuff, okay? Start in and around your home, your living room, your garden, anywhere like that, when there's very few distractions, not distraction free, there's very few distractions, okay? Choose your training area wisely. When you do progress, we've got to prove the behaviours in one environment before we go to the next environment. So we might start walking up and down the kitchen or the hall, or then we move to the garden, which has got different sights and smells, or sounds from the neighbour's dog barking or whatever. There's more distractions coming in before we go anywhere to a high distraction zone, because again, you're pushing customer bile trying to do that. An environment can change. You can go to your local park on a rainy Monday morning at 8 o'clock or 10 o'clock in the morning, wherever you're at work, and even because even they weren't at work, it's pre-married, nobody wants to be out, and you'll have that park to yourself. Well, there's one environment, but you can go to the same park on a Sunday afternoon on a sunny day, and there's people everywhere. So be willing to adjust. Do not get fixed on this is where my training area is, okay? If you go to that park and you expect it to be nice and quiet, and there's dogs, and there's bikes, and there's kids, and there's all manner of stuff, then that's not your training area. Be willing to adjust. Don't just muddle through it, because if you think, well, I'm here for a walk anyway, I'm supposed to be lead training, I'll just let the dog pull. All you're doing is setting yourself back, because every time a dog is able to achieve its goal of pulling and you put up with it, it's practicing the behaviors that we don't want them to do. Okay, so be willing to adjust. As I said just briefly before, when you do it, make sure your dog is hungry. I'm not talking starving a dog, but if your dog is on a 2 meals a day, for example, then try to either feed the dog, reward it by its food intake when you're out training, rather than give it a big load of food for free and then ask it to be rewarded for food. It's like to say, no thanks, I'm full. Learn to know the difference between bribery and rewarding. Okay, and this is about timing. So, for example, again, when I do one-to-ones with people, there's a split-second difference between bribing a dog to do something and rewarding a dog for doing it. And if you get that wrong, and that's something that comes with experience and a wee bit more education, but if you get that wrong, then the dog will learn to only do it for food. So let's look at the word sit, for example. I produce the food and I'm saying, look what I've got, and I say sit, and the dog sits, and I give it. If, for example, and that's bribery, well, yeah, okay, you've got food, of course I will. When I say sit, but I'm not getting any food in my hands, and I say sit, and the dog sits it, then I give the dog food. It goes, right, sit first, then get rewarded. That's all about time and a bit more experience. But please, for example, there's a lady whose dog was not good around traffic, and I was walking behind her, watching what was happening at the beginning of our one-to-one session, and the dog started jumping around, near to the pavement, and I saw her go into her pocket or a bag or whatever, and the dog was jumping around at the edge of the road, and she gave the dog a wee chicken. I said, what just happened there? She says, well, I was getting the dog to sit down. And I said, well, what happened was the dog says, okay, I've learned, because she's been doing this for many times, I've learned that if I jump around, you produce chicken and I get it. So the difference being is that before the dog started jumping around, she should have rewarded the dog for having its feet on the floor. And that split second, that moment of opportunity can be lost. That's why I say to people, when you're training your dog, always watch your dog. You should never be looking where you're going, especially for lead walking. I need to micromanage that dog is just taking that extra step forward. No, or check your dog, or or any verbal that you're already communicating with your dog, to bring it up to you. Reward eye contact from your dog. Focus is everything, no matter what we're talking about, any training at all. Focus, get your dog to look at you. If your dog is not looking at you, it's unlikely to be listening to you. If your dog's a yard in front of the end of a lead, it's not looking at you. A dog cannot look at you and pull, if you think about that. If your dog is looking at you, it's not out in front walking backwards. It's in the right position looking at you, and you go, yes. But if you're looking where you're going, or reading your phone, or doing anything else for that matter, and you miss that eye contact, you can't reward it. So the dog's got no benefit. That's why I say to people, when you're doing lead walk, always look at your dog. That momentary glance to give you, yes, good dog, who's clever, there's a bit of food, who's a good boy, a bit of love and affection, that soft tone. Ah, right, this is where good things happen, this position, not away out there, says the dog. Okay. Before you start training anything, we're always in a hurry. Time is our enemy. But when you think I'm going to do some training, whether it's going to be lead pulling or anything else, always take your dog to your training area and give it 5 or 10 minutes just to settle down, to clean themselves out, explore that new environment. So it's quite happy, a bit more settled. Now I'm going to ask for your attention for 5 or 10 minutes, okay? So give it 5 or 10 minutes. Don't take it out and say, right, here we go. Let's start doing this. Well, hang on, I don't know where I am, and I need a pee and all this kind of stuff as well. So always think about your dog that way. Slow it down. We are always in a rush, and I'm going to keep saying that because it's true. If you have a 6'6" guy, woman, whatever, and you've got big lunky legs, and you're walking along at your normal pace, 100 miles an hour, because your brain's not right, I've got to do this, then the dog's not having a chance to relax, okay? I want you to half your pace and never walk in a straight line. It's called quartering. Again, this is on the training video, which will make it more obvious to visuals explain to people a lot better, which is why I do training videos in the first place. Okay. I said always look at your dog. Never walk in a straight line. Quartering, which is basically zigzagging, there's no real pattern to it, but if we walk in a big boring straight line, the dog will switch off to us. We're uninteresting, we're not engaging with it, so every time you make a turn, which heel, off we go again. All right, we're going that way. What you'll find is that because the dog is not used to now walking in a straight line, and every 5 or 10 yards, you're doing 180, you're doing a 90 degrees, you're doing 180 that way, the dogs start looking, where the hell are we going? That's what we want. We want that focus. Good boy, who's good girl, whatever. Okay. Okay. Eye contact, again, mark and reward eye contact. That's what we actually start training lead walking in the home, in the kitchen. We start rewarding the dog. See, when you look at me, good things happen, mate. All good things come from me. The dog wants to look at you. The dog and so when the dog is looking at you for lead work, then we can reward that as a good boy, who's a good girl, who's clever. Okay. Focus is everything. And always mark. As soon as the dog looks, you're marking it. Yes, good dog. Then reward if need be. Use little tidbits. We don't want a dog having a big whole sausage just for walking to heel, because as members will vouch here, I will bore you with the expression rinse and repeat. Dogs are situational learners, okay? The more times we can put a dog into a situation, the quicker it learns. What I mean by that is people will say, Alan, can you stop my dog back at the doorbell? It's doing my head in. It's doing the neighbour's head in. And I tell them right, we've got to desensitize, so therefore we've got to ring that doorbell all the time, and we act differently. I'm not going to how I tell them to act differently, but we desensitize the dog. The dog now knows that doorbell means nothing. But if you ring that doorbell once a day for the next 3 months, the dog will never learn. If you ring that doorbell 30, 40 times in the first day after I leave, you'll find by the 30th or 40th time you ring that doorbell, the dog doesn't even get out of his bed because it's had a hard, intense session understanding. So understand that the more times you can practice with a dog, always concentrate on the little wins that you get. So little tidbits, tiny little bits of cheese, tiny little bits of chicken, tiny little bits of ham, so that every time you can reward, you can reward, you can reward. Okay, that's what I mean by that. Okay, have patience. That's the biggest thing. I mean, to be honest, I'm probably one of the most impatient people in the world with regards to all other matters. accept dogs. Okay, we've got to have patience when we do it, and always be cool around your dog. Okay, if we want a nice, relaxed, calm, sociable dog, then we've got to be the same. All right. And remember that you are the dog trainer at all times. When I usually go to people's homes and I say, okay, to be fair to your dog, if you want to teach it a skill or anything at all, to be fair to the dog, we're going to teach it. And I say to people, so when do you do your dog training? And people will say to me, well, in the morning I take the dog to the park and I do this. And when I come home from work, I do this. And they've got specific times on the head when they are training, which means that the rest of the time they think that they're not. So when you take your dog out and you're in training mode, whether it be recall, heel work, or anything else for that matter, what happens is when you come back through the door and you unclip your dog, you switch off and you think that anything you say doesn't matter. You will be sitting watching the telly with your dog one night and you want to be clapped from him. We do it all the time. And you'll say, Freddie, and you look at you, what? You say, come. Oh, he's playing with a toy, it doesn't matter. Give him a wee clap later on. What have we been doing? You're training your dog to ignore you. And the amount of times that we spend with our dogs in the home, because we live with our dogs, compared with outside when we think we're training, is massive. 90% of the time is in the home. And because we don't think that when we're talking to our dogs in the home, go to your bed, no, I want to go to the hall, aye, okay. Sit, no, I don't want to, aye, okay. Come, doesn't matter. What's going to happen when you go outside? Because if you've given 30, 40 throwaway commands that you think aren't important to your dog on a daily basis, and one day you say to your dog off lead in the park, come, if your dog could talk, he would say, you tell me to come all the time, and you never follow through with it. Why would I come just now? I've got a dog to chase. I'll be back then. That's what happens. So please be aware that you are the trainer all the time, and whatever you say to your dog is important. So I say to people, do not browbeat your dog with commands every 5 minutes, but the moment you say to your dog, I want you to do this thing or stop doing this thing, you must be willing and able to follow it through. Okay. So highly trained dogs, like police dogs, like military dogs, like farmers' collies, like gun dogs, custom exercise dogs. I'm not saying they never get in homes, but generally they live outside in a nice luxury heated kennel. It's because these dogs are highly trained and we cannot undo their training for obvious reasons. And we cannot be saying to a police dog that we need it to stop immediately. We need it to go and do that thing. We need it to bark and switch on. We need to shut up. We can't undo it because if it's living with family and we're all giving it different commands and nobody's following through, that's what happens with our family pet dogs, is we think we're not training in the home and you are. Okay, so I'm not asking you to build a kennel for your dog outside. I'm just saying you switch on. Like everything you say and interact with your dog matters, okay? So don't dilute your own training. Consistency is key, all right? Now, what I mean by that is please don't, any dog walkers here, please don't get offended, and because I'm not targeting dog walkers, I'm giving it as an example. So again, a lot of people will say to me, Alan, my dog pulls like a train on the lead, and I'll go outside and I'll have a look at them. And usually I'm not going smoking my backside. If you have a look at my, anyone who's not here on my Clan Dog Facebook page, I've put in a couple in the last week or so, and people are amazed how quick their dog will stop pulling for me. And I say, oh, hang on just now, that is not your dog trained. Your dog has just displayed how it can be if it's got the right driver. And I need to teach you to drive. There's no magic dust. There's no magic powers. You know, I don't have any kind of magical thing about me, but what I can do is communicate with the dog and I have the techniques. So, and I ask them, okay, what do you do? And I say, we've got mum, we've got dad, and we've got 2 teenage kids in the family who all walk the dog, because that's what family dogs do, and I get that. And or we've got dog walkers, and or we've got what these dog nursery things called, dog creches, daycare, that kind of stuff, okay? So when you allow somebody to walk your dog, and let's just stick to talking about lead work. So if I was your neighbour and I wasn't a dog trainer, I didn't know anything about dogs, and you said to me, I'm really going to be stuck at work for the next week and I can't let my dog out at lunchtime. Alan, could you walk my dog? And I said, no problem. And you give me a house key and you show me the lead and show me the collar and off we go. And I don't know how to walk that dog, but you've been working for a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever, to walk that dog. And I just let that dog out and it pulls me and I don't know what I'm doing. What's going to happen is the dog's going to revert, because dogs are situational learners, okay? So at least be fair to your dog that if you have multiple dog handlers, what you call families, what I call as a dog trainer, multiple dog handlers, and as humans, we're not clones, we're all different. We will use different techniques because nobody's been trained. We use different voice commands because nobody's been trained. We allow the dog to go 2-3 times a week with a dog walker, for example, who is a dog walker, and their job is to walk and exercise your dog and return it home safely. But they're not dog trainers, remember. And they might have multiple dogs there who's just there, get them out the van, get them on a lead, get them to the safe place, let them run around or whatever. And I'm not bringing down dog walkers because that's their job. But I need you to understand that if you're got a problem with a dog pulling on a lead and that sort of thing is happening, the dog's going to take an awful long time to learn, if at all. Okay, so be fair to your dog. Okay, what's wrong with seeking professional help? You've kind of done it tonight. You've come along and said, right, I need help. But if I'm not asking anybody here, but at least ask yourself, one, how long have I been putting up with this? Have I sought any help? Not just for the dog trainer to come along and go, Alakazam, there's your dog reprogrammed, because by the way, that doesn't happen. It's up to you guys to learn. So good for you for coming along tonight. But there's a lot more to learn in regards to that. And that's what I try to do, is make people understand that they are the dog trainers. And I'm trying to pass on 40 odd years with a professional experience to people in different little segments in different ways. Okay, so seek professional help. I don't know where everybody lives, which part of the country, or even what country you're in. But if you want a hands-on one-to-one with somebody and you're not within my travel area, whatever, try and seek out a good, reputable dog trainer. Okay, all our dog trainers, including myself, can say how great we are, but let's go by reviews. Let's go by, do your due diligence, find out what the techniques are, find out how good they are. There's a lot of good dog trainers out there as well, some not so much. Okay, so do your due diligence. Okay, with regards to that, everybody here, this, as I said earlier on, this is all recorded, and I will send out a copy of this recording to everybody by email. Within that will be a link inviting you all to a 7-day free membership. Okay, now here's the thing. I'm not a salesman. I'm here offering resources to people who need them. Okay, the 7-day free membership is not in any way trying to catch you out, and I want your, you forget, because I'm telling you right here, right now, even on the recording, for all the hundreds of people that are going to watch this later on, grab your 7-day free membership, because within that membership, there's 30 odd training videos, of which one of them is loose lead walking. It's a video, 6 videos showing you, displaying to you everything that I've been talking about. If you do not want to stay, absolutely not a problem. Cancel on day 6. It won't cost you a penny. But so for 6 days, you get access to everything that a full member does. Okay. Please remember, if you don't want to pay $14.99, that you can cancel it. If you do want to stay for a month, stay for an extra month, great. Pay $14.99, then cancel. Okay. All the resources are there to help you, including loose lead training, everything we're talking about. Okay, that will go out. I'll ask the techie guys to do that probably tomorrow. Okay, I'm going to open up this chat box because there's 6 little questions here. Emma, to everyone, anyone know where Allan is based? Okay, I am. No, somebody's answered. Allan is based in the Scottish borders. Yes, I'm kind of halfway between. I'm on a lovely private shooting estate halfway between Peebles and Galashiels. Brian, as the host, can you not set an auto mute for everyone? Okay, that's technical stuff. Not to be Brian. Emma, I'm finding this fascinating. I wish I'd heard it earlier. Great. Okay, thank you for that, Emma. As long as somebody gets something out of this, that's all I'm looking for. So, Karen, sorry, I have to leave. We'll catch up the rest of the video. Thanks for advice. You are very welcome. Patch, very good. Unfortunately, need to go. We'll catch the recording tomorrow. Not a problem. Somebody else needs to go. Thanks for the insight, Mark Jones. Great. Okay, does anybody here have any questions? Now, you don't need to write it in the chat, and see things to be flashing up here. I've got a question here from Alex OP. What do I do on holiday with an untrained puppy? Train a few moments here and there and let him pull, stroke wander on the lead the rest of the time. Okay. I really have to go into depth in regards to that. If we're talking about a tiny little puppy, Alex, then don't get, people try to think about this lead pulling or lead training really way too early. Enjoy your pup. let them get to know you, build that correct balanced relationship in the first place, okay? Don't be thinking about sort of lead pulling. So anything else we'll have to talk about another time. Can I walk two dogs in a twin lead? From Mary's iPhone, absolutely never would I try to train two dogs. I don't even know their breed, I don't know their age, I don't know what level of training they have. All I'm asking is for two dogs in a twin lead, absolutely not. I could walk two dogs that have been trained individually on a twin lead, but never going to try and train them because the dog's always competing. Everybody wants to be in front. Everybody wants to be in front. Okay, you're really going to struggle trying to do that. Two dogs on one coupling, if you like, trying to do that. Grant Black, thanks very much for the information. Very interesting to be in touch. Not a problem. You're welcome, Grant. Deborah Nixon, how do you stop the drift? Our dog is great, but I must be doing something wrong as he drifts forward. No, if not being checked and rewarded frequently. He's 2 years lab. Again, I don't know when you put that in, that question in. In fact, it looks like it's just now. So I would hope that everything I've told you in the last wee while, Deborah, is probably paring it back a little bit. Look at your environment. Look how you're walking, where you're walking, what rewards that you're looking. Slow it down. By the way, there's nothing wrong with people saying that you're not setting yourself back. Just saying, okay, well, maybe chances are people rush too far forward. They don't prove the behaviours in a certain environment before they go out for that big walk. So pare it back a little bit. Okay, John's iPad. Can I ask a question, please? Yes, you can. So just fire it in, John.
Hi, my name's Doreen. Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. We've got a rescue Vizsla. He's 16 months, and we have got a gun dog trainer who we've just found and starting to use. When we do when I want to walk to an area where I meet people and everything and socialise the dog, do I use that time from leaving the house to getting there to train the dog? Because we can't, I haven't got the car to put him into to get there. So when I leave the house, is it automatically, am I training him to walk there?
That's exactly what I'm saying, because people switch off. They think, well, but from here, the park's only a 5-minute walk, so it doesn't matter if he pulls me.
But it does.
Goes in the park. Of course it does. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll do the training until I get there.
And on that point as well, Doreen, would you say your name was?
Doreen, yeah. Doreen.
So on that point, Doreen, remember what I was talking about is your training environment. And socialising your dog is vital, absolutely. And we're going to get that balance. I like dogs to be dog neutral rather than. I've actually been training a client's dog who are paying money for my time, and somebody came up to me and their dog ran up to me, started running around, and the two ladies, lovely as they were, came up and said, "Do you mind if my dog just plays with your dog?" Because that was their exercise. As well, I'd rather you didn't, actually, because I'm trying to train this one.
Yeah.
So if you socialise your dog in the correct way, and there's a different subject, but we can really go on about that. Bear in mind, if you go to the same place and the dog has lots and lots of fun with other dogs, it's going to encourage them to pull in the first place. Remember, I talked about it in the first place. Okay.
Right,
so start looking at different environments. Start looking at two separate things. I'm taking my dog for socialising. Try and socialise your dog in different places as well. Okay. When we socialise our dogs, we're actually socialising it to your life. For example, my dog's life is completely different from everybody else's here, and your dog's different from theirs and theirs and theirs. Okay, so people who I take my dog kayaking. He goes on lots of speedboats, and he's up in the hills and all these different environments that he has to go in. He's got to get used to that from an early age. Okay, the dog might not do that, but your dog might. I'm just talking generally here. Somebody's dog might say, well, my boss allows me to take my dog to work and I live in town. So that dog's got to get used to city traffic, going on a bus, getting used to the office environment, sitting underneath the desk, all the different things. So socializing our dog, and I've got 3 pals, personal friends who are vets, and I always say to them, why do you keep telling people to go to these bloody puppy classes in a slippy floor scout hall with 20 other dogs barking? Yeah, when's the next time that dog is ever going to be in that environment? Never. And it does a lot of harm to a lot of dogs. So think about what your dog has got to look, what their dog's life is going to look like. Start exposing them to those environments in short increments. Keep your dog neutral. Yes, we want to keep our dog-to-dog social skills up, but don't make it high party time every time.
No, right. Okay, thank you.
You are very welcome. Thank you. When a dog is pulling towards someone or, oh, God almighty, these keep coming in quick. I have to scroll up a wee bit, sorry. I just stop a dog drifting. 2 seconds, sorry folks, I'm just trying to read. When a dog is pulling towards someone or something, what should you do at that immediate time? Well, allowing your, and that's from Teresa. I don't know what you have been doing, Teresa. Are you here? Do you want to unmute yourself and we can talk about it? Because if your dog is pulling towards anything, are you there?
Yes, yep.
Okay, your camera's off, but you're, oh no, you're back on, you're back off.
No.
Okay, Teresa, if you remember talked about do not allow your dog to pull to the lamppost, to pull to the tree just for a wee sniff. The result's the same. If your dog is pulling towards someone or something, you probably you've got to find your dog's threshold. Okay, we don't want a dog to actually pull and achieve to pull to something, because what happens is the dog learns I can do that, and it transfers that skill to everything. Pulling is pulling for whatever reason. Okay, we've got to go back a little bit and get your dog's interest. Find where the dog's threshold is. Some dogs will lunge towards a dog, not aggressively, whatever. It just wants to go and see that dog. It might do it only if it's within a yard or two. It might do it if the dog's 5 yards away. But sometimes we go, oh, here we go, and you maybe start a conversation with the person, and you allow that dog to achieve that. What happens is that threshold grows bigger and bigger. So it used to pull just at 1 or 2 yards, but now it's learned that it can achieve that. It starts pulling at 3 or 4 yards, and all of a sudden you walk into a park and it sees a dog 10, 20 yards away and it's pulling you towards there. So, okay, so pare it a little back, find your dog's threshold and work outside that threshold to get your dog's focus on you. But yes, allow your dog to, when it's off lead or on long line, to relax and socialize with other dogs, okay?
Right, but if you are, I can see the point in doing that when you're aiming to train. But if you're just walking past, or you're going someplace, or you're getting in a door, where it knows it's going and it wants to go, and it's going to pull. What do you do? Do you stop? Do you turn away? Do you not take it in?
So, what do you mean by going in the door?
Well, if I'm going to my friend's house,
okay,
so she knows where she's going, so she's dead keen to get in, so she's going to pull. So I've got to go in. I'm going in, but do I stop then, or do I turn away, or do I not go for 5 minutes, or
okay,
you know?
Okay, well, let's break it down a little bit. See, when your friend opens the door, describe that scene to me. What happens?
I so want to run in
Why?
because her sister's there, her pal's there.
And oh, hiya!
Yes,
Yeah.
no, I know why she wants to do it. So
Yes.
do I not? It's the.
So, what I would say, Teresa, is if you want to train your dog to be nice and calm, entering your friend's sister's house, wherever it is, train other humans first, because they are training your dog. How many times have you go back a little bit to when all our dogs were young, and your friends and family are your nemesis regards to dog training, and we are too polite? For example, I've got a friend, for example, who comes around the house, my dog's under training, and I'm teaching my dog not to jump up on people, okay? And I'm sure everybody can resonate with this. Your friend or family member comes through the door and the dog jumps up because, one, that's my fault in the first place, because I've not put a lead on the dog or put in its crate to control that behaviour in the first place. The dog jumps up on somebody, they reward it by going, hi, mate, how you doing? And I might say to that person, don't let him jump up. And they go, it's all right. So if you're going into that person's home and you know that when they open that door, they go, hiya, Teresa, or even they might not be talking to your dog. They might be saying, hi, Teresa, how you doing? That excited kind of thing. And the dog achieves it because they just bolt in because you've allowed that to happen. If you're doing some training, I would phone up a pal to say, I want to do some dog training. I don't want my dog to be pulling me through your door. I'm going to stand 3-4 yards down your path, and I want you to open the door nice and calmly. And my dog will stand lunge because I've allowed it for months or years to do that, and I'm going the dog to sit, and I'm going to ask it to reward that, and ask for the focus. Okay, and we walk in calmly. It's going to take a little bit of time, because if you've been going to that same household, doing the same thing time and time again, that's what our dogs become used to. I would start by training the people in the first place to say, please don't get my dog excited, because as soon as we get excited, the dog becomes excited. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So is it okay to let them off lead in safe areas? That is from Sandra McCallum. If you've got a solid recall, Sandra, then absolutely. course. Because we're talking about lead training or lead pulling here, and you're asking, is it okay to let my dog off in safe areas? If you've got a recall, then absolutely. That's that's when our dogs get enrichment, etc. Caroline Gray, hi, great session. Question re one-to-one lessons, please. I'm based in Falkirk. Would I travel to you, or do you go other places for lessons? Many thanks, Caroline Gray. Yeah, if you drop me an email with your postcode on it, please, Caroline, because obviously I have to set a kind of boundary. I've been asked to go to England, Wales. I got flown across to Ibiza last year, which was great, all expenses paid, but let's keep it real. I can't obviously go everywhere, but drop me a line with your postcode. Falkirk I have been there, but please do drop me an email with your postcode on it. Chances are I will be able to come and see you. Okay, got a wee bit of a late waiting list, but should be okay for the next sort of 10 days, 2 weeks or so. Fiona, amazingly informative and encouraging. Thank you from Nova Pup, 7 months old calf. Okay, thank you. You're welcome. If I spot a dog, this is from BL's iPad. If I spot a dog with owner coming towards me, I'll pull my own 8-month-old cocker pup on lead, make him sit and stay to let the other dog and owner pass, then praise him as a merit in what I'm doing, basically to control my own pup's unnecessary interaction. Okay, it's a fine line, whoever BL is, there's a fine line to be had between socialising a dog and letting them interact. And I would really like to see, again, by the way, Clan Dog members do this, if they've got an ongoing or recurring problem, ask them to take a short video and they send it to me. I can analyse it and see actually what's going on. Sometimes
Hi, Alan. Sorry, it was my question.
Hi there.
Hi there. My name is Brian. So basically, I'm trying to discourage him from just rushing off when he's towards a dog to see a dog. Mm-hmm. And I thought it would be easier to try and control him on the lead, make him sit and wait or stay until the dog goes past, so that he knows, to try and instill in him that he can't just shoot off unless I say so. That's really what I was trying to explain. Okay, thanks for that. Shooting off means he's either not on a lead or he's not on a long lead. He's able to just disappear over the hill and play with the dog, yeah? Yeah. Well, he doesn't go that far, but is he on a long line or is he off lead? No, he's off the lead. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's the bit that, especially 8 months, especially with an 8-month-old cocker. I know there's Clan Dog members here with cocker pups. I've had cockers in my past as well. They're high energy, they're high, and they're very sociable dogs as well. But keeping that sort of view of dog neutrality. Yes, I'm sociable with a dog, but I don't have to get my kicks from running to see another dog. So socializing your young pup with other dogs is important. The ability to run the other side of the park to play with another dog is a big no-no. Okay, your young pup may come across a reactive dog, a dog with somebody else on a lead, and with a dog on a lead, and that's for various reasons. I always say to Clan Dog members, I teach them, it becomes a pain in the backside, to be honest. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to be able to have hills and I can go anywhere and never see another person. But when I am in a public place, my dog's very social and he would want to run that 10, 15 yards to go and see another dog, but he's not allowed to. Okay. Yeah. So if you've not got a recall, then I would think. His recall is okay. He goes, he has a sniff and a play or whatever, and then I'll recall him. He comes back. But but he already got to the dog and he's got his sticks there. So and what will happen is that over time he will stretch that distance that he's running will become further and further. So when you said his recall is okay, it's okay after he's achieved his goal. And then I've had a look at that dog and I'll come back. Okay. Yeah. That it's just that point. So a good recall for me would be my dog sees another dog, he goes to take off. One, I've got a stop whistle, beep. Yeah. Arse on the deck. Come back and he does. Okay, that's a good recall. A good recall is not once I've had my and I'll come back later on. Okay. So I would suggest to you that just a wee bit more long line training for an 8-month-old cocker, you're probably going to need that for a little while. Okay. Okay. All right. Thanks very much. Do you keep up the socializing?
It's not the end of the world, you know, just when a dog meets another dog and there's a bit of a kerfuffle, that's real life, it happens, okay? But it's actually training what we want and what we don't want, whenever we can, okay?
Okay.
Hope
Thank
that
you.
helps.
Thanks.
You're welcome, okay. Shona, should I be restricting the long leads to open areas only and reverting to a short lead now for general walking? Yeah, absolutely. When our dog is on a long lead, then that's the enrichment time. That's when it gets to sniff things. That's when it goes to collect the ball and come back with us, that kind of thing, okay? But when we're on a short lead, that is just, I'm driving the car, you're the passenger. Is that your dog? Is that your dog, Shona?
Yeah, my daughter's just left.
Right, okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
long lead is enrichment time. That's when the dog gets to run around, sniff, do its thing, okay?
Right. I just got into a habit of walking a long line all the time because I live just off a farm track. So I've never really been on a short lead. It's just
okay. Remember we talked about walking in a straight line, and the fact that you said track there, I've got a lot of clan dog members who use tracks, but a track, you're not able to go breadthwise. You're only going forward or you're coming back.
Yeah, it's a traffic-free farm road.
Yeah, but actually what you're doing is walking in a straight line and becoming boring.
Yeah.
So try to find a different area where you can zigzag around, so you can quarter a little bit. Keep the dog interested. Look, we're going this way. Look, we're going that way, and keep the dog engaged that way. A track is a straightforward, and we just become boring to our dogs.
Yeah,
and they find other things to do, usually things that we don't want them to do.
I know. Right.
All right.
Right, perfect. Thanks.
Thank you, Andy Marshall. Thank you, Alan. I have a rescue working cocker who came to us with separation anxiety, like the puppy behaviour you have spoken of. He is very much past that, loving to chase rabbits after catching one and not knowing what to do with it last October. His pull now is strong when he smells rabbits or cats. Sounds like I need put in some serious time. Challenging when I'm at the football and rugby grounds for the kids' sports. He can become a squealing, shivering. Okay, that Andy, thanks for that. But there's a lot of information in here, mate, and I think
we should have a chat sometime.
Where are you? Where are you? Yeah, Andy, how you doing? Thank you. Yeah, drop me an email, mate. Okay, that's a big long conversation. Okay, but drop me an email. Absolutely, quite happy to help you. There's a lot going on there. It's nothing that I've never dealt with before, and probably a couple of times a week, to be honest. Okay, but it is really maybe I sit down, even a 1 hour Zoom with me, a private Zoom, we could probably batter through it all for you. Okay, mate.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, you're well. Thanks for coming tonight, Andy. I appreciate
it. Thank you.
Okay, Victor, I have a question. Thank you for excellent information. I have a question, please, Emma. So, okay.
Hi there. I've actually got two questions. One of them, from a practical point of view, we've got a 17-month-old cockapoo who requires a lot of energy, a lot of venting off his energy. And we've probably have gone from the frightened to let him off the lead to now letting him off the lead and recall not being 100%. So because part of the reason, and that's enough. Part of the reason being, I need to keep the camera off. He's probably seen another dog out the window. Wait a minute. I am frightened, one, that we're going to break his neck because he's a small dog. He's only about 11.5 kilograms. And see, when you're trying to do, you're saying, we've tried all sorts of leads on him. He pulls on the leads when he's on the lead. We're out for a walk. He's stopping all the time. I'm trying to bring him back in. Honestly, we could sell leads. We've got so many different types of leads. He's been to lots of training classes. Or I have been to lots of training classes. And he's still not any better walking in this lead than he was before. Now, the long lead we did try, but he rockets off in this long lead, and then you're kind of, he gets to the end of a long lead, and then you think he's going to pull so much he's going to break.
Have you been here throughout the whole?
I have, yeah.
Did you hear me talk about harnesses?
Yeah, well, we did actually try a harness to start with, but he will bite the hand off you trying to get a harness on him. And so even the trainer said, look, forget putting a harness on him. So he tried to put a harness on him and he couldn't get it on either. Because he was lying upside down with it around his neck, and it was an absolute nightmare. So we went back to the Martindale collar and lead. And recently we've bought a much shorter lead that's got some kind of elastic in it, so it doesn't pull on his neck so much. But see, when you're saying don't let him, I mean, I've been taking notes through the whole thing. Don't let him stop all the time. Does that mean actually tugging him away from things then?
No, don't let him get there in the first place. Keep the head up and keep walking, and choose your environment carefully.
Right, so don't actually let he's like you often want to, lots of people comment to see, is he some kind of trained snipper dog, because his nose is down in the ground a lot.
He's a dog. All the information goes there through the nose, and that's what I was talking about earlier on. You know,
so keep the lead short and don't let him stop all the time.
Okay.
Right. We could do with a couple of private classes, I think. But I guess you don't. I presume you don't come to Glasgow, do you? Would we need to come to you?
I can't anymore. I get a lot of people ask me to go through to Glasgow. I can maybe go through if I had sort of few to do, but it's about 2.5 hours for me to drive from here to.
But if I came to you, would you do it?
Yeah, we could do that. What I do suggest that you start with at least is grab your 7 days free membership. As I said earlier on, it'll come in an email to you. Look at the training videos. That may give you something to at least start on. Okay. So
I've been to the Dogs Trust, a personal trainer. I've been to some other 20 classes with some other group of trainers. I've watched hundreds of videos, and he is still pulling.
Right. Okay. Well, if you've not done this already, and if you use social media, please do sign up to or look on Facebook, Clan Dog. Okay. There's YouTube videos. There's Clan Dog. Clan Dog paying members get a private group as well. But even if you don't want to become a paying member, if you like, for any, whether it be a week or a month, it doesn't matter to me. But look on the Clan Dog Facebook page, and you'll see lots and lots of. I mean, lead pool is one of the biggest things that I do.
Is it? Right, okay.
Absolutely.
But if we came to you, that would be okay. We could book in for a session with you for a few hours and just drive back again.
Absolutely, you can do that. So drop me an email sometime, Emma. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Thanks for your time. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, there's no more questions that I can see on the chat here.
Hi.
Okay.
Hello.
Does somebody say anything? Somebody there? Maybe not.
Yeah, hi, Alan.
Who's talking? Is that Victor?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Okay, your camera's not on, but I can hear you, okay.
Yeah, I've just got a question, like, how do you define, like, when a dog's pulling, like, because my dog's, like, always at the end of her leash, but, you know, I can't really, how do you know when she's pulling? Is it when she's, like, moving your arm, like, because,
Victor, can I just pause you there a wee minute, Victor, because I don't know if anybody else, but it sounds like you're in a bit of a tin can or something. It's a weird noise. But secondly, what I did get from you is how do you know when your dog is, what was it? How do you know when your dog's what, sorry?
How do you define when your dog is pulling on a lead? Like, if it's at the end of a lead?
No, like, because if you've got any tension, if you've take it, you can see me all right. If your dog is walking and there's its collar and the lead goes down before it comes up, then you don't know you've got a dog because there's relaxation. As soon as that comes up, then the dog feels it. So you're looking, always talk about create a smile. Look for a smile in your lead, a J shape, okay? The lead should go down before it comes up. If the dog is doing that, the dog feels you and you feel the dog. That's when you know your dog is pulling, because if it's out in front, that happens. If the dog's beside you, that happens. Does that explain it better?
Yeah, I walk her on a slip lead. Yeah, it does. Yeah, but it's like I walk her on a slip lead, and she's always like out in front.
In that case, she'll be. If you're walking on a slip lead and she's out in front and she's pulling, that slip lead feels like a noose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
and she just does it. Do you know what I mean?
You're probably using the wrong equipment and training in the wrong environment, which is everything I've been talking about in the first place. So just strip it right back. get the proper equipment, go for a martingale, get the right length of colour, and go to that boring car park and start doing it.
Yeah, right. I'll do that.
Okay, I think it's your environment. If you're walking in a straight line, everything I've been talking about, if you walk in a straight line in a high distraction zone, doesn't matter what equipment you're using. I mean, let's think about it, guys. If your dog is willing to choke itself, just pull, and I've seen it, and you've seen it, you're probably experiencing it. You know, that drive that a dog has to go forward. The dog's not pulling us just to piss us off. They're doing it for a reason, and we have to find out what that reason is and take that reason away. Because ask your dog, you know, throw a board of buns out in the street and ask it not to pull. That's really what the dog is what a dog does, is because it's far more interesting, nose on the deck. So regardless of the equipment that you're using, your dog will still pull if you're in the wrong environment and you've not done the basic stuff first. So my advice to you is probably that you're training in the wrong environment with the wrong equipment, and you're going for that walk in that boring straight line, everything we've talked about. So look at your environment, look at your training, start rewarding the dog with everything that I've just talked about. Okay, Victor?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, guys. Okay, guys, thank you very much for coming along tonight. I'm going to try and get some food, and as I said, look out to in your email box. There'll be an email of a recording for this to somebody else is going, John, how do I join the training, the one that is free for 7 days? You will get a link in an email tomorrow, and I'll include the link, just make it dead easy for you. Click the link, sign up. It'll ask for your credit card details, but nothing will be taken off you until day 8. So if you don't want to stay, then that's cool with me. Just cancel on day 6, but use those 6 days to get in. There's 30 odd training videos within there, folks. Okay, use your 6 free days to get in, get all the knowledge that you want, and bail out if you want. Stay if you want. You're more than welcome to do so. Love to have you on board. And if those who are serious about taking their training a little bit further, I'm here to help. We hold these regularly for Clan Dog members, and your Clan Dog support page within Facebook is where people will ask me questions. Clan Dog members will ask me questions, they'll send me videos, I'll analyse it, and I'll just keep you on track. And people stay as long as they need help for, and then they leave. That's the way it works. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for everybody for coming along tonight. I'm going to wrap it up there just now. And thanks again for coming along. I hope somebody got something out of it, and you know, go forward. Thanks, Alex. You see. Thank you, Shona. Thank you, everybody. Okay, bye just now. Good night just now. Thanks now.